Well, there's my cue. Hello, Elisa. Elisa's like, coffee, Alabama. Let's see the show. That is awesome. Welcome to the Minimalist Home Living channel. I am so happy to see all of you guys here. It just warms my heart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. I know a lot of you have come over from my old channel, and I'm just so happy you're here. So if you're new here, I always like to know where you're from and what you're drinking. No matter where I am, I want to know where people are from. I'm a nurse and I work in a part of Canada where there are a lot of people move here to retire. I live on Vancouver Island and I'm drinking tea. I got to take the lid off. I'm straining it. And a lot of people retire here. So I'm always like, where did you move from? Because so many of them moved from somewhere. Hello, the wood burning warrior. I recognize you, Anthony. Megan, hello. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Anthony's from Virginia. I know Megan is from Saskatchewan. Sherry from Kentucky. Susan from Wyndham, Connecticut. Very cool. Niagara Region, Ontario. Lori, hello. Oh, Susie's here from the Hebrides, drinking water drop. Is that different than just like water? Switzerland, Caroline. Oh my gosh, I love Switzerland. I have not been there since I was like 17, but I absolutely love it. Kathy from Alabama. Hello. Cynthia from Georgia, drinking coffee. Oh my gosh. Great day in Saskatchewan. 18. Yes, it is gorgeous here on Vancouver Island. Oh my goodness. I am just so grateful. I went to Alberta last week, which is sort of like, who knows what's going to happen, especially in the Calgary area where I was. It was snowing. That is the second or third time I've been there on May the 1st where it has snowed. Lisa from Oregon, nephew from Texas. Hello. And Lydia from Minnesota. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. So Susie says water drop is wee flavor pods you add to water. Very cool. And Angela from Kentucky. Got two people from Kentucky. That's fun. Just vacuumed your bedroom and it took all your energy. I am going to tell you something. I feel that because, hello, Grace. Yesterday, I was like, why am I so exhausted? I did have a workout, but which, I do quite often. And I thought, like, it felt like I had been gardening all day, but I wasn't. I'm gardening today. I am planting a bunch of onions, which is going to be fun. Beautiful day in Quincy, Illinois. I've got water and tea here. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I'm actually going to open up because I asked people if they had any questions. And I was going to chat about a couple of things too. I wanted to talk about minimalism and perimenopause, which some people might be like, that's weird. Carolyn from the UK. Ooh, what part of the UK? We've watched, oh my gosh, what is that show? It's a UK show where people are looking for a place to move. We watched like so much of it. Anyway, yeah, I love it. And we've seen so many of the counties, and my husband and I'll be like, oh yeah, we really like Cornwall and all of that. Let's see, Barb, North Carolina, yay. Oh my gosh, you've got leukemia. Of course that wears you out. And your hubs, have you been prepping your garden? Yes. Bristol, cool. South England. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, everybody, I want to thank you all. It has been such a crazy journey this year. And I just want to say, I have had so many highs and lows. And today I was actually just telling a couple of friends, we have like a group texting chat. And I was like, I've gone through this journey this year. And let me know if you've ever had an experience like this where it feels like something is happening where your life is just like something has thrown you into upheaval and you're basically just like forced to sort of like come to a reckoning of sort, either that or just sort of like go down into sort of like spiraling downward. And I, of course, like with what was happening with my other channel, it might not seem like a big deal to a lot of people, but for 5 years, I have just put my heart and soul into it. And anyway, so I was it started I really like, this all started, like, a year ago, but I really started to, start to do some reflection, but that was in the wintertime, which for me mentally, ever since I've hit my 40s, it's just been hard. Winter has been harder. And I was just thinking now how great I feel that I can be going through the stage I'm at right now in the spring, where I have started this new channel or sort of like taken up a channel I started a few years ago, but completely turned it around to being about like slow living, minimalism, chatting about perimenopause. I was telling this friend I have that I almost see it as like a new wave midlife, where, and I don't even know if I should use that term, but like new wave. But for me, I'm at a part. It's a new wave for me because my kids are starting to leave the house. I actually had a dream last night about my middle son graduating because he graduates next year. And I was sad. And what's funny is with this middle kid, let me know if you have middle kids, how, if you felt the same way. And I thought how with him, I'm not usually sad on his birthday or sad that he's like moving up a grade. And I thought, and not in a bad way, but just because like the oldest and the youngest, it's different because it's the first time for me for everything, and with the youngest is the last time. And I thought how grateful I am to my middle child that he kind of saves my heart during those times. And then sure enough, I have this dream of him graduating and I'm feeling really sad. And it was like how I felt last year where I thought, am I ever going to be happy again? My son is moving, he's growing up, like my life is changing. And then I realized like no, like this is like I'm it's okay. It does turn around. So anyway, I'm curious if you guys have ever felt that way. ADHD makes perimenopause so much more fun. Oh my gosh, right? Like, as if my brain is not already working hard, then I now have, like, my hormones working against me or, like, lack thereof or the imbalance. I was even just saying to my friend that my app on my phone, usually, like, it wouldn't like, it would just say, like, "Oh, your cycle might start today." It literally said to me, "You might get your period within the next 2 weeks." That's what it said because it's so unpredictable. I was like, if I wasn't like, if I couldn't laugh, I would cry. I mean, it's not like that big of a deal. But then I just thought, like, I need to actually like buy some products to prepare myself at night, like reusable things. Anyway, I don't want to get too personal. Um, I don't want to overshare. I'm a nurse, so nothing embarrasses me. It's like my husband's a first responder, and with him, like sometimes I'm like, your filter is just not. You need to run some things by me, and I'm the same. So let me know if you can relate. So I'm going to start with one of the questions, which is from daughter of my Abba, and she asked, "I've minimized our house, and love how much more peaceful it is and easier to keep clean. It's time to tackle the garage, which is a mess and full of just in case items, as so many garages are, most of which are my husband's, and advice of how and where to start." And the thing is, I feel like I was thinking about, like, how to answer this, and for us, our garage, I need to tackle it as well, and I actually thought I don't want to, but I might invest in some, like, cupboard things that close like that I could probably buy at, like, Home Depot, and I thought, like, how much would that be? But Father's Day's coming, so it would kinda probably be on sale then, and then I could maybe, like, make it a gift for my husband, and I thought, "Well, that's not very nice." But, at least then stuff would be out of the way, because the thing is, like, we have stuff for car cleaning. My husband loves to, like, wash the cars, and there's all of these other things. But then I thought that we have this shelf of things, and I have decluttered my garage before. On my other channel, you may have seen sometimes, and there are things I have kept, and we haven't used them. So they basically are now just in case items. And I thought, I'm not a person that keeps just in case items. So I thought, great. I can delete. I can declutter some of these. And so for you, what I would recommend is just start with anything, pick up a box and just start going through it. And the good news is if it's in a box, unless you're like, holy smokes, this is where this was. I've been looking for it so long. Where was it? Then you can just start decluttering those things. And I know it's hard to be like, well, where do I start? Just pick an area and start. What I would suggest, especially if your husband is a little resistant to the decluttering, is just to start anywhere. Start with stuff that's your stuff though, or both of your stuff, but that he's not going to mind, because sometimes there's like a husband or a spouse who is there. It's hard for them to wrap their minds around, and a lot of them will get there. My husband got there. He is all about decluttering a lot of stuff now. Although I did on this channel, I did declutter in my kitchen. And you may have seen I had like a Porky Pig mug. And I said to my husband, like, oh, I'm going to declutter this. Okay. And he was like, oh, no, no. And so I thought, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Like, and I put it back in the cupboard because that's his. So I'm going to put this question up Carolyn asked. Waiting to get everything out of home clear and simple is connected to raising anxiety exhaustion with premenopausal. My dyslexia memory fog hinders organization. I'm not exactly sure what your question is. But this is what I was going to say about perimenopause and clutter. So for me, as I've gotten older in my life, things that are not good for me bother me more in a really good way. So it's like sugar. I wake up and if I have like a bunch of sugar the night before, I will wake up feeling terrible. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not wake up feeling good today. And that's because even after I made a delicious, healthy salad for dinner, I ate a huge thing of nuts, but they were like sweet nuts. And then I ate some corn chips, and I woke up and I was like, I feel like I'm in a fog. Like I almost am like, oh, and often I'll feel like that after I have like a whole lot of wheat. And so my body, as I've gotten older, is like, whoa. And I'm not saying I don't eat those things. It's just I try to limit them. And Lord knows I need to now because I don't want to wake up like that every day. It's the same with like hangovers. When I was young in my 20s, I would go out with my friends and have like several beers or other drinks. And if I felt sick, I would recover quickly. Well, now I'll have like one and feel it the next day, like one. I went to a concert with my brother last week. For the first time in like 6 months, I had a beer. And it's not that like the reason I don't drink mostly is because it affects my sleep. And sure enough, I had a terrible sleep. And that's why. So, as for clutter, when I was a kid, even though I think it affected me, I just wasn't aware of it. And I really truly feel like it affected me much less than it does now. So now that I'm at this stage of life where my kids are leaving the nest one by one, I'm actually becoming more and more free, and not in a bad way, but and like why would free be in a bad way? But I mean, like it's not like I'm like, oh, thank God they're gone. But it's like I can start to have more time to myself, more time to work on my hobbies, more time to like go out. I could go and spend 8 hours in the garden, and as long as somebody doesn't need a ride somewhere, nobody's gonna care or notice. And I actually think that's a really good thing. So as far as the clutter goes, if I am, like, consciously aware that clutter really bothers me, and yes, it's not good for my husband, it's not good for my kids, but it bothers me the most, then I really think, "Okay, I'm going to take care of that." Because when the clutter is taken care of, it's much easier for me to go and spend 8 hours in the garden, or if gardening's not your thing, to go and do anything else. Even if you just wanna sit and read a book all day, you can do that more easily without a bunch of clutter around, even if you don't realize it. So to me, as a perimenopausal woman who also is just like my mood, like my tolerance for anything that I don't like is like this, like no tolerance for that. And I think that's great. It's like I don't know, like there's just like this freedom where I'm like, yes, like I'm just like all about like doing what I want, like within reason. I still have responsibilities and all of that, but that's my rant. So I got some questions. I'm gonna go on here. So let me just see if Carolyn. Okay, Carolyn, dyslexia not clear. That's cool. I want everything out of my home and really simple. Carolyn, you got to just start. And I know that that might sound hard, but choose an area that's not overwhelming. And I always say, like, a lot of us, for me, I would get stuck in the tips and tricks. And I am a person that will tell you tips and tricks for decluttering. But really, the most important thing, recognize like where you are being held back. And actually, I have a challenge that I'm doing right now on Monday. If you are at all interested, where we're actually talking about the things that could potentially hold you back and make decluttering hard. Because so many of us, like for me, one of the things I didn't realize is that like the beliefs that I had about keeping things and being prepared, or the generational lessons from my grandparents and my mom about like keeping things for good and not being wasteful, and the patterns every time I decluttered, why I would always quit, like that stuff came up. So if you're finding decluttering hard and you've been doing it for more than a couple of months, like I've worked with people who have just been like, oh, I can declutter. I didn't even realize I could declutter. Like it just hadn't occurred to them. And then they just do it. Right. So for them, there's not, or maybe like the one lady I worked with, it flipped a switch for her to recognize that she could and that they don't need to keep everything. So you can just, so that is something we tackle in this. We talk about where to start, although that's not that important, the how to do it, just in case you're not sure. But then we talk about the things that hold you back. So join the challenge if you want. It's totally free. It starts next week on Monday. So I put that there. I'll put that on the screen. So I hope that helps. Like pick a spot. Just don't pick one that's overwhelming. That's it. And then just get started. Work on it every day. Treat it like a second job. Treat it like it's your part-time job. Um, Emily says the women in my family either hit menopause early or are fertile myrtles. No idea what I'm going to get. Isn't that funny? Yes, I totally get it. It's crazy. I know for me, like my perimenopause symptoms started in my late 30s, and I did not realize that that was going to happen. Megan says my resting heart rate is always up overnight if I've had takeout restaurant food for supper. Yeah, isn't that funny? I actually got one of the glucometers. I'm gonna do a video on it, and I'm gonna get another one. Like they're just like 2 weeks. It's like $100 in Canada, but I'm not gonna lie. If you think about the money people spend on like losing weight and all of this, just the eye-openingness of learning how food affects your blood sugar for $100 for 2 weeks, that was so worth it for me. But I noticed overnight certain foods would affect that. Even like stuff you wouldn't even expect. Sometimes I was like low blood sugar overnight, and I don't have diabetes, so it's okay. Like my body knows how to handle it, but very eye-opening. So that's very interesting about your resting heart rate. In fact, the other day I had so much salt, and I don't usually eat that much, but I had made these really salty pickles in the summer. And so I put them in a salad and some of the brine in the salad. And then we had something else that was so salty. And I always take my ring off in the morning because I have a mouth guard and I have to brush it. And I took it out and I was like, or like I was trying to take off my ring and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so much salt. That could also affect your heart rate. Have you saved boxes of kitchen items for your kids leaving the nest? Good question, Lisa. So first of all, am I delayed for you guys? Because I look like there's a bit of a lag for me. My camera is just weird. So I have a son who just moved into his first apartment over in Vancouver, and we we had our Vitamix started acting funny, like, right at Christmas time, like, basically Christmas Eve, and I was like, "I'm gonna buy a new one. They're on sale. The guy's at Costco right now." It was the last day he was gonna be there, and I'm not usually like that, but we'd had it for about 14 years, and so I did actually there's a couple of things I've saved, but not much. For the most part, I was just like only if it really occurred to me, but I think that so often people can get things at thrift stores. Even my son, he went to IKEA and got a couple of things, and there's certain things at thrift stores he could get, but just a tiny bit. Kim had an ablation. That's good. And if you're not sure of what that is, that's where they go and they sort of like, I believe it's with electricity. They sort of just like zap the side, for lack of a better word, of the uterus, and it really helps with like people flowing too much. You'll also hear people talking about a cardiac ablation, where if people go into atrial fibrillation a lot, they do that. And it just sort of like it damages the tissue, but in a good way. Haven't had my period since then. Woohoo! It makes it very difficult to follow the hormonal changes. Yes. Let me tell you something. So people have and I talked about fasting this on the video earlier this week. And some people have said about this Dr. Mindy, she's a chiropractor, Dr. Mindy something, but she talks about like where you are in your cycle and about fasting. But if I don't actually know where I am in my cycle right now, I have no idea. I can guess. Sometimes I get like the cramp you get when you ovulate, and I'm like, holy smokes, I think that's what that was. Like I was in so much pain like 2 months ago, and it was gone the next day, which was good because I thought, like, am I gonna have to go to the hospital? And then I realized that, oh, I was just ovulating. But like, that's crazy. Like, who the heck knows what is going on? So yeah, you don't even know. You're just basically just have to assume that you're in a bad mood. And maybe that's why. I don't know. For me, I was like so cranky when I got back from my trip earlier this week. And I don't know if it was just that I was peopled out or like as far as being at the airport and stuff or what. But yeah, that's hard when you don't know. Unless it's nice kitchenware, please chuck it. Exactly. That's actually the thing because like I saved up Vitamix, but I don't think I saved anything else for the kitchen. Yeah, good point. I do not save kitchen stuff for my kids. Yes, so for my kids, my son, he's yeah, far enough away that we can't give him stuff, other than, we have to take it on the ferry. I wish eating bad made me feel bad. It might, you never know. I signed up, but I work. Don't worry. 1 p.m. Eastern. So the lives on our challenge next week are at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So 3 p.m. Eastern. So and there will be replays. So join, join. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Gifting things. Oh my gosh. And the thing is, decluttering things instead of handing things down to people is such a great thing to do quite often because then the right person gets the thing if they go to the thrift store to buy it instead of like if you've ever received a box of things from somebody and they're like, "Oh, thanks," but they're like they've given it to you and you're like, "Oh, great. Like I don't really want any of this stuff." And now you're like, "I got to deal with this box." So that can be annoying. My adult children want to get their own kitchen stuff, teak utensils. Yeah. I think the thing is like when they're really young, like my son is not even 18 yet or 19. He turns 19 or yeah, 19 in July and he's got his first home, which is amazing. Good for him. But at the same time, it's like so like he doesn't need anything fancy, but he also was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to the thrift store for stuff." So he didn't even like want a lot of stuff. He's happy to take the Vitamix. I haven't given it to him yet because I haven't gone over to Vancouver, but he came over, but I don't think he wanted to carry the box back, which is good. Let me see. I have a couple more questions that for people that had submitted them, but I wanted to keep chatting with you guys. Kim loves being an empty nester. Kim, you're making me so excited. I actually really love having time to myself so much. So being an empty nester, it's not something I'm dreading. Let's just say that. But I really do appreciate you you saying that for sure. Did I not post? Oh, maybe I couldn't. I thought I posted on. Oh, I did. Okay, good. I was just making sure that I posted on the new channel any questions, and I don't think I saw. I try to be prepared for these, and I was like, oh, I can just like pull it up. But there was like 5 places where I put questions. Have a beer with lunch. You'll have this time to process it. You know what? I would love to, but then I would be sleepy, and I get actually a little bit moody after I have alcohol, like, especially if it's in the middle of the day. So that is, let me just see. Pause. Just want to see if anybody had any questions on this one. No, there. Um, let's see. Heart rate increase from restaurant food, MSG. Yeah, potentially. There's the thing about MSG is it's basically sodium. So that could be, there's a lot of stuff around that. I've decluttered my kitchen counters and everything so much more clear. A bonus is that I like it so much that I clean things up quickly now. That is the thing that I love the most, is how quick it is to clean things. For me, when I like got home from being away, and I mean my family, like they did a good job, but like if I wanted to like tidy up at all, it was no time because there's just so little to do. Um ugh. I'm just thinking about how the link wasn't working. Like quickly looking through everything here. Slight lag in Minnesota. Hmm. That is vexing. Well, I appreciate you letting me know that. Let me see. I wonder if there's anything I can change. This camera, I am telling you, well, there's nothing I can do about it now, but I am going to talk to the people that I bought it from. Grr. I love medical science. I struggled with biology in college, and that's why I'm a social worker, not a nurse. Good for you. But I feel it's easier to learn things now with all the YouTube channels. That's cool. We were down to one glass, so I bought just two at the thrift store. Oh my gosh, I love that. Ah, yay. It's 3 p.m. Yes. You and Castor, my home heroes. Oh, so sweet. Sipping tea, donating feminine products on the second or third day of wanting to kill my family for talking. I figure I was PMSing, right? They're so funny. It's so many times where I'm like feeling like extra sensitive with my husband. Like if he gets up in the morning sometimes and I'm like, good morning. And if he's sort of just like, hi, I'm like, what's wrong? Why are you like this? And I'm like, oh, it's actually me. How do you recommend getting started with routines? Okay, definitely start one thing at a time. Don't pick a bunch of routines to start at once. Just one routine at a time. Start. And then once you have, like, do it for like a couple of weeks until you've built it in, and then start another one. This camera is driving me crazy, you guys. I'm so sorry. And bless you. So I'm really happy that I got some non-decluttering questions, because that's one of the things I want to do more in this channel. Although we did talk about perimenopause too, which is awesome. But I really want to talk about like just like slow living in life. And somebody asked, what are your top 5 favorite plants to grow in the garden? And I was like, I love this question. Okay, so my favorite thing to grow, or okay, I'm not even gonna choose top 1, but garlic I love because I can plant it in, October, and then it is like this tall right now, and I haven't done anything with it other than plant it. I love it, and then you get all this garlic, like almost a year's worth of garlic. I love it, and now that I have my freeze dryer, I can freeze dry a bunch of it, and I actually froze, like, the rest of the cloves in, like, January because they started getting soft, and that's great because then we, like, always have garlic. So garlic, I love growing potatoes now. I had never had farm fresh potatoes until I started growing them about 5 years ago, and I will never not grow them. I love it. Tomatoes, of course. I love growing tomatoes. They're just so delicious, fresh tomatoes. Although they aggravate my rosacea. I finally narrowed it down to tomatoes and peppers. Doesn't seem to be potatoes, even though they're in the same family, but I guess that's different because that's the root. But love fresh tomatoes, especially sun gold, those gorgeous orange ones. Oh, they are so good. I will just gobble those up and have like a super red face all summer. I don't care. And then I find it harder to grow peppers here. Maybe it's better now that I have the greenhouse, because we do get several heat waves. It's just not like super hot. And I think my problem also has been watering. But I love growing jalapenos because I love to make salsa, and we will make candied jalapenos. Then last year I grew celery for the first time, which was awesome. And then I chopped a bunch of it up, have it in the freezer. I still have a little bit left. So when I need to make something, I just take a cup of it out and just throw it in a pan because I don't usually eat it fresh and I wouldn't eat the frozen stuff fresh. And then the last one I will choose today. I started growing onions last year and I'm actually planting some out today and I'm hoping they're bigger. But so it's basically the staples. So those are my top 5. Let me see. Habit stacking for the wind. What self-care habits do I recommend? So quiet time, so good. I often will call it thinking time where I will just feel this urge to go and lie in my bed. And I'm going to tell you something. I had an urge to lie on my bed. And last night I just had this, or yesterday afternoon, I had a great idea for another challenge I can do at a later time. And it's just like your brain can just settle down. Or, when it comes to like kids growing up, time to process, like it's just like having quiet time. You don't necessarily have to go lie down, but even just like quiet time in the garden or like this by far anytime I do a live is like the most talking I do because it's basically just me talking for an hour, even though I totally feel like we're having a conversation. Um, but I love. So number 1, making sure you get some quiet time, whether you're doing meditation or just sitting quietly, whatever. I love that. Number 2, I am such a big fan of exercise, and I will be the first to tell you, I was not a big exerciser when I was a kid. Like our family, we're not exercisers. And I didn't join any teams. I didn't start exercising until I was in my early 20s. I started going to the gym. And the reason I like it so much, like number 1, it's so good for heart health and brain health and all of that. But I feel so good. I was in Alberta last week. I was so bummed about the snow and I had a workout. I felt amazing afterwards. Amazing. Like nothing makes me feel better. So for self-care, that too. So quiet time, exercise, and of course, like you like eating. Like the nurse in me says a lot of these things, but these truly are like things that I feel good. So, like self-care for me, it doesn't need to usually take very long. But and like, yeah, like just making time for myself. And that's what I love about like being at this stage of life is like I don't have to worry that right now one of my kids is like getting into something or running around or whatever. First of all, they're at school. But even if they're home, like it's just different. I don't know. I'm just like loving life. Yes, let me tackle this because I don't know if it was you that asked about this, but I didn't get to this question yet in my comments on my videos. So there's this awesome book called Glucose Revolution. I'll give you a link. Um, and it's by this really great girl. Her name is Jessie Inchope, I believe. And she is a scientist and she has done a lot of studies on blood sugar. And she um, had, there have been a lot of studies that show like eating vegetable first really helps with your blood sugar. There's the affiliate link. Because, first of all, like it can fill you up, but that's not even the point. The point is that it's got water and fiber in it, and that slows down the digestion and the uptake of the glucose in your bloodstream. So the way she suggests eating, and I have been doing this for since January 2023, eating your vegetables first, then eating your protein and your fat, then any carbohydrate. Because a great way to tackle like weight gain, weight loss, perimenopause, belly fat, all of that stuff is keeping your blood sugar under control. And I'm talking about non-diabetics. Of course, if you're diabetic, you do what you need to do. You talk to your doctor, all of that. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just telling you like what this book says, but I love it. And yeah, I have been doing that for so long. And then when I got the glucometer and was using it, I was able to see what would happen with eating vegetables first and all of this. Yes, she goes by Glucose Goddess. And she's on Instagram. She's awesome. So I'm going to tell you a quick story about eating vegetables and sugar and all of that. So I was at my grandma's 90th birthday. I have a gorgeous, wonderful grandma who's 90. And there was like a spread. And so just because I'm in this habit, like I went to the veggies first and then I ate like a piece of pepperoni and a few other things, ate some chips, and then they served cake. And I ate my cake and I had the glucometer on. This was actually the first day I think I had it on, and my blood sugar went up to 9. Now I'm gonna give you, like, the Canadian measurements, it's different in the US, but it went up to 9, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, a spike." That's actually not that high because especially for having just eaten, especially for having just eaten cake. So basically, it should have been so much higher had I just eaten cake. Like, it should have probably been in the teens. I don't know. I never even saw it get that high because I usually am, like, minding these habits. However, I will tell you, smoothies, which chop things up super fine, so that will raise your blood sugar quicker. I will have a smoothie before I work out. And again, it still is a healthy smoothie because it has protein powder in it. I put like macadamia nuts for the fat in it and blueberries. Berries don't spike your sugar very high compared to a lot of other fruits, but I would have it and within 15 minutes it starts climbing quickly and it would be like 9. Just a smoothie. Keep in mind the cake brought my blood sugar up to 9. Cake and a smoothie and like a really healthy smoothie. So, and that the smoothie was on an empty stomach. Now, I use the smoothie to my advantage because when I work out, if you're ever really tired when you work out, it might be like sort of what you're eating and how you're eating. So anyway, I will have that smoothie before I work out because then I use that sugar in my blood to my advantage. Another time I had a croissant, a ham and cheese croissant, and my sugar spiked to 13, and I had the croissant on its own. So that is how. I hope that makes sense. That's the long and the short of it. I know my husband's like, "You're getting really eccentric in your old age." I'm like, I have a science degree. Like, I like this stuff. I find it interesting. Tracy says, "Love the garden quiet time." What kind of protein powder? So I use a whey isolate. If you are in Canada, you can go to a Popeyes. I get diesel. There's 2 kinds of diesel. I use the one that's a higher value and they have sales. So I always wait for them to have a sale. And I really like the cookies and cream flavor, although the chocolate's good. My smoothie recipe, I did this in a video, but it's like milk. It is the cookies and cream protein powder, 6 macadamia nuts, and like half a cup of blueberries because blueberries are really good for your brain. So that is my smoothie recipe. And I will often have like a piece of cucumber before it because that helps like because the point of like keeping your blood sugar under control is that it's a slow, steady release. Like you need sugar in your blood, but you want like healthy sugar. We don't want the spike because then your body releases insulin and then it crashes. So there you go. I love nutritional brain learning. Yeah, it's so fun. I love this stuff too. Jessie has 2 books. I have bought both of them. Glucose Revolution is the best to learn. The other one is more of a cookbook. She also has she has a YouTube channel and she has so many she's been on a ton of podcasts. Love it. And I got a couple more questions. I have room to keep all seasons of clothes in my closet. Should I put away the off-season stuff to reduce visual clutter? See, that's a personal choice. Now, I actually was just looking at this myself because a lot of you have seen my clothing situation. I have a dresser and a closet. And the closet, the bottom drawer is where I keep the off-season clothes. And I was folding up my new pajamas that I love, and they're the warm ones. And we're like in a like mini heat wave right now. And I thought, you know what? I could probably put these pajamas in the drawer, mostly because I just want to be excited to pull them out. But I was like, I'm going to be excited to pull them out anyway. So I thought to myself, do I mind seeing them in the drawer or would I rather them be put away? And yeah, I think it's personal preference. I still don't, I think for now I was like, I don't mind seeing them in the drawer, but I kind of do. I don't know. It's up to you. I think like as a person who likes to not have a ton of visual clutter, I could see why I might want to put it away, like I'm talking about the perimenopause and simplifying things. Total personal preference, but I could see why you would do that. And question, do you think slow living can help with mhm, pre-menopausal anxiety and restlessness? Yes. I'm looking at my cat with envy as he is stretched out in the grass in sunshine. I do. I really do. I think that it's like for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think like when we slow life down, there's just more time for reflection, but also there's less time to sort of escape from a lot of the things that we're not processing. So many of us in life, there are things that have gone on and we're kind of avoiding dealing with them. That's actually PTSD. And I'm not like minimizing or maximizing PTSD or blah, blah, blah. But a big part of PTSD, and there's like some of this in my family. I was a police dispatcher, so I've dealt with this stuff, but it's like there's this trauma that happens. And then if we don't deal, so in like where I worked, if there was a big incident, we would have a debriefing where we would come together and we would talk about the situation. And the reason for that is so that you can, like, start processing it, like, part of it is, like, learning, but a lot of it is processing it, and if we don't process things, then and we suppress it, then our brain will just push it to the surface, and often at really inopportune times, so and then we just keep pushing it down, and it will just keep coming up, and that's a lot of PTSD. A lot of people with PTSD, that's what will happen. So if we deal with stuff that happens, and anxiety can also be something that comes up as a result of that. So slow living gives you that time. You can give yourself that permission to actually deal with stuff, and a lot of us don't want to deal with it, but just if you take that time and you're just like, "Dang it, I wanna deal with this stuff," you will be so much happier and so much more glad that you did. Um, but yes, I totally understand looking at a cat stretched out in the sun. Those guys, nobody looks more relaxed than a sleeping cat, I'm telling you. Emily said, best tips for routine, simple living with little ones. I have 3 under 4 years old, and it is busy. Ah, I know you're past this stage, but any tips for those of us still with lots of littles would be appreciated. Oh my gosh. I was also really excited about this comment too, because this is not minimalism related. And I don't mind minimalism related. It just makes me happy because I'm like trying to pivot and just sort of like show more about how awesome simple living is. So I think if I were to go back in time, and so many of us, like, I mean, if you're a mom, do you have regrets? Like, I have so many regrets. And I think what I would do, I would take my kids to the park more, play with them more, slow living more. I would. I think that one of the best things you can do with slow living and simple living um, is you say routines. My sister in law, Colette, a lot of you have seen her here before. Now she's back working in the office. Like that was during COVID. So now she's not here a lot. But that woman has some routines. Like I was just at their house last week and I was like, dang, like her kids, their snacks, they're this, they're that. And I always tried. And the ADHD in me just could not let me do routines. I tried to be like, it's morning snack time, it's evening snack time. But having routines, if you can do it, is so good. And I think the problem is I would just be like, okay, this is our new schedule and just try to make myself stick to it. So, like I said before, one thing at a time, have a really loose routine if you're that type. And removing as much excess as possible, like deleting and decluttering are the biggest things, not being involved in a million things. If something makes you feel good, I think that's great. Like seeing my friends, that's not something I'm going to declutter. But other things like maybe taking part of like I've been a part of committees and things where I'm like, why am I at this stage of life doing this? Even like with us fostering the kittens, it's not so bad now, but there are times where it's so busy and we've got these kittens and they need to go to the vet and they're getting foster or they're getting to be adopted. So there's this, there's that, there's extra litter boxes, all these things. And I remember being like, I'm so busy right now. Why am I doing this? Like, and it's not that I'm like, oh, like I should be contributing to the community. I am. I'm raising children. Like that's important. So I think like number one, create a routine that will serve you, that just because when there's a routine, kids are comfortable. They're more comfortable. I knew it. I just couldn't do it as an ADHD or undiagnosed at that time. And then the second thing, like I said, is just removing as much excesses if possible. Like, even if it's like you have to host Thanksgiving dinner every year, maybe you don't if you don't want to. Like you're busy doing a really important job. Okay, let me see. Megan says, if I could do it again, I think I would have decluttered along the way and bring less stuff in the first time. That's just it, right? Like my shopping, we just invested in some like a squat rack, which might sound crazy, but I hate the gym. And I was like, if I'm going to invest in something for my health, like like save our Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthday money and get this piece of gym equipment, because what better investment than something that is so good for your health? I went in the basement and I was like, we have like a recliner we don't use. We have like a armchair we don't use. There's a couch we don't use and an air hockey table that I literally just use as a table, but it's huge. And it's like, we've got to make room for things. And what's great is I'm going to take that stuff out of there and only one thing's going in. That's going to feel good. So mindful consumption, mindful what we bring in. I love that. Mary, hello. If I had a time machine, I would be a minimalist before having kids. So much stuff. Me too. Well, that's the thing. And I remember like thinking that the kids' toys were the problem all that time. I mean, they were part of the problem, let me tell you. But yeah, I tell you, live and learn. My life would have been forever changed if I had been slow living 45 years ago when my children were little. Yeah, can't go back. I know, more relaxed. Me too. And that's the thing. Don't you find mother's guilt is just the worst? I hate mother's guilt. Bringing in less stuff to begin with intentional purchases. Yes. Oh, any other questions? It's 10:46. I'm going to go and plant my onions soon. That's going to be fun. It's really fun when you plant out stuff. And I was like, holy smokes, it's the 9th of May. Probably should start some of my squash soon, but maybe it's too soon. Mm. You know what? I think you don't necessarily have to motivate yourself at home if you don't like it. Going to the gym, if going to the gym makes you do it, like do whatever makes you do this. The Outlive book by Peter Attia, I'll put that one up too, because this is such a good book. I completely recommend listening to it though, because I bought it for several family members and they were like, this is beyond a dry read. But listening to it was great. I listened to it. But he says that the number one thing we can do to slow aging or just to make us healthier in our old age, because that's the thing. I don't necessarily want to like live longer. I want to live healthier longer. The number one thing you can do is exercise. So however you can do it, do it. Whatever removes the barriers for you, so be it. I really, really think that that is so important. So if going to the gym is good, that's good. For me, what started me working out at home was I did this workout program. The doors are closed right now. So I'm trying to think of another one that you could do. I love Olivia Lawson on YouTube. She has good videos you can just put on. And I mean, weight training is very, very important as we get older because it's really hard to put muscle on as we get older and it's very easy to lose muscle. So it's really important to try to maintain what we have. Especially because like falls are one of the number one things that hurt seniors. Weakness is really really tragic. Like, I've had so many seniors who would break a hip, and that is kind of it for them. Their life really goes downhill quickly. Quite a few people die within a couple of years of a hip break, but so I'm like totally ranting now, but working out so important. And the thing is like starting slow. Like don't pressure yourself. I've been working out for about well 9 years, I think, probably, like, since I've lived in this house, and, I just started slow. I started with that one program. Actually, there's a lady gosh, what is her channel? She's on YouTube also, and she has really good workouts. She always says, "If you're in your 40s or your 50s," and she's like 55 or 56, and she's, like, super fit, and she has really good workouts too that you can do. What is her name? If anybody knows, put it in the chat, but, she's black, she lives in the UK, super awesome, love her, and it's just so inspiring, like, I just love seeing people like that, so, um, but yeah, like, just start bit by bit, start adding to it, like, even, like, a walk is good for you, but it is like, putting on the muscle is important, but whatever you can do, like, getting your heart rate up is so good. Mother's guilt is terrible. I need more strength. Running is easy. I know. See, that's the thing. Is like and actually, like right now with gardening, I am like, some days I'm like, that's all I'm doing. Like, that's my workout for the day. It's not quite the same, but I love my yoga. I love yoga. And I love, like, I used to hate cardio. I really go through stages. Let me see. There's another question. If you are putting a garden bed on a grassy area, what do you have to do first? Can you just slap that baby down? You can. So we've done a couple of things. So we went to a bunch of bike stores and bought or got free bike boxes and put those down underneath to suppress any weeds. If I don't know if you've seen the recent iteration, I'm going to do a little tour one day, but my husband put down landscape fabric and then he put the beds down over it because he was so sick of seeing all the weeds. And I agree, it is a pain. So you don't have to do anything, but you can. You might also get something depending on what you're growing. They are called wire worms, and they go in things like potatoes and stuff, especially if it's over grass. So I recommend. You can even, like, put, like, a couple of carrots and just or potatoes and stick them in the bed for a couple of days, and you can pull it out, and sometimes you'll see, like, the worms sticking out, but so that is something that can happen. I miss my standing desk. Yes, I should make my desk stand up more because this is a sit-stand desk. So true, 58 years old and not active. I really feel great. Get out and move. Woo! I walked this morning. Yes, it's so good, especially when the weather's good and like the sun is good for you being outside. Actually, I am going to probably get a walking pad. I think they're great. Do squats while loading the dishwasher and balancing on one foot while cooking dinner. That is great. I love that. Gosh, what is the name of her? I'm actually just going to go to YouTube and just look up like over 50s exercise and see if it comes up. Over 50s exercise. I've been looking for channels because I just find it so who's this one? And I don't necessarily want to watch the workout, but I want to see somebody just talking about it. That's kind of me. Oh gosh, it's just this one lady, Fabulous 50s. Maybe if I look up menopause. Menopause. I hope she comes up. She's really good. Whoa. As a person who does YouTube, I'm like, this is a competitive. I wouldn't talk about it. I'm gonna actually copy this link here and post this here. Hello from South Carolina. I suggest you guys watch this video. So helpful about learning. Um, the title is What Women in Menopause Learned About Exercise. It's truncated, but it's so good. So good. Because we can learn this stuff. Like, why And even if you're like in your 60s or 70s, you might be like, "Oh, is it too late?" Like, no, it's not. Like, do what you can to feel awesome. That's the thing is I want to be in my 90s in gardening. That's just what I want to be. Tibetan rites, 5 stretches, start with 3, maximum 21 reps. Love it. That's great. I cannot find this lady's channel. I can't remember. I will post it below this video later. Or I know maybe I'll put it in the Facebook group too. Because we're gonna keep our same Facebook group. You guys are the best for showing up for my first live. All the conversation, like, thank you. I love you all, and I hope you join the challenge. Jumping jack, yes, that's the thing. Jumping is so good for our bone density because and apparently more than running because I like to run, but jumping is good. So Olivia Lawson on YouTube, she has great workouts you can do because some of them are no jumping because there are times where I've got ankle issues so where I'm like, okay, I can't jump or I can't jump too much. So I'll do some of those, but some of them are jumping and one like like you're jumping like back and forth or I was going like this and they're great. Like, I just put on my AirPods, I'm listening to, like, my new wave playlist, and yeah, it's fun. So anyway, join the challenge. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I'm hoping to give you guys as much value as I can. Hopefully you get, like, one place declutter is gonna be good, and we're gonna tackle the mindset stuff. So and if you liked doing this, oh, yes. Oh, wait, do I see push-ups? Counter push-ups. Yes, push-ups are so good. Anyway, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for showing up here. You're lovely. You have a space in my heart, and we'll do this again soon. I am trying to. What did that say? I've been working on my own channel, got lost, gonna join the challenge. Yay! You guys are the best. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next